Continuing our countdown to kickoff here on Bet Sweats, Kate Constable, Sam Panayotovich, and you guessed it, talking about the LA Chargers. Sam, Chargers are plus 330 around there to win the AFC West. That's behind the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. I think that's pretty fair, a place to put them in with some of the injuries that they've already sustained early on in the season. Rashawn Slater, he's out for the year. Quentin Johnston just had a concussion. He's going to be out for a little bit of time. Overall, Chargers plus 310 rather over at BetMGM. Do you like that price for them to win the division, or are you out on the Chargers altogether?
I'm not out altogether, and we'll get into a couple things I do like, but this offensive line is a work in progress. And if you've missed it, Joe Alt has had the move from right tackle to left tackle. Of course, former Notre Dame left tackle who was drafted to play on the other end of Slater. And as Kate mentioned, Slater's going to miss the entire season. And I would go as far as to say this is now Joe Alt's job for life if he stays healthy, because this is not the first rodeo with Rashawn Slater and the injured list. This is probably the left tackle of the future now in Joe Alt. So if you want to find the positivity there, you have a really good one. And ideally, he stays on the field, stays healthy, and he can play that position for 10 years. When you get Slater back next year, move him the right tackle, and you move on. But it's not the only injury. McConkey has been banged up for a ton of this training camp. Najee Harris, when will we see him? Who knows? It feels like forever ago that he was at a party or a cookout or whatever, and fireworks went off in his face. So now Omar'e Hampton has been elevated to RB1, and he's been bet accordingly. But really, for this team, it's on the quarterback. And I think a lot of people like Justin Herbert. I think aesthetically he does a lot of things really well, has a huge arm, a lot of intangibles. He can move about the cabin when things break down, but the metrics don't like Justin Herbert. And the advanced analytics guys have always thought that he's been, let's be real, a little overrated. Now, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but this is a team that has the talent to get over the top eventually on Kansas City. I don't love the way this offseason and this training camp started, of course, but their defense is pretty solid. Their coach established that hard-nosed style on offense last year. They're going to try and run the ball down your throat and then put the quarterback in positions to succeed via play action, via the deep ball. I think everything is there from a planning standpoint. But the question that a lot of people have, can Justin Herbert take that next step? And I don't know that we have that answer yet.
Well, I think my answer to that is yes, he can if he has the right pieces around him. Like, I don't think he has the weapons to have the type of success that he's capable of having. Ladd McConkey's a good receiver. And I mean, as a rookie last year, he far exceeded a lot of expectations. But now, I mean, Keenan Allen, I don't think that in Keenan Allen's day and age, you're going to count on a whole lot from him. The tight end, Will Dissly, he's not terrible, but he's not one of the top tight ends in the league. You have Ladd McConkey, and then you have a bunch of rookies like Trey Harris. And in that clip of Jim Harbaugh talking at the top of the segment, like, he's been doing a great job, a little inconsistent in camp. Keandre Lambert-Smith, they really like him. He had a great game the other day. So you have some pieces, but are they going to have the breakout rookie season that Ladd McConkey had? And unless they do, which would be tough for both of them to have that type of year, I don't think you have the offensive weapons downfield that Justin Herbert needs to be successful. So I think he in and of himself is a phenomenal player. But when you talk about the entirety of the team, I don't think it's going to be enough to push them to a division win. Now, can they win 9 games? Win total right now, Sam, sitting at 8.5. That one's juice minus 140 to the under. You can take 9.5, a little plus money there. They're not getting to 10 games in my mind. Can they win 8-9? Yeah, probably.
Justin Herbert as an NFL starter is 41-38. The numbers don't lie. So he came on gangbusters early. In his second year, he was already throwing for 38 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. But those numbers have depreciated over the years. Last year, he's got 23 touchdowns. Now, granted, a Jim Harbaugh quarterback is probably never going to throw for 5,000 yards and 45 touchdowns, because it's not how they're built. When you bring in Greg Roman and you address the offensive line, they want to run the ball and control the time of possession. So I'm not saying that statistically he needs to throw for X and needs to have X touchdowns, but they need to win more games. And, he had the injury a couple years ago, finished 5-8 as a starter. Last year, he was fine in terms of managing games. But I think the interesting part about Herbert is that we know the tools are there. How much rope does he get? How free can he be in this offense? And maybe by design, he won't be. He threw the ball 504 times last year and completed about 66% of his passes. That's good. It's nothing sensational. And again, the touchdown number last year, only 23. 23 touchdowns, 3 picks. You know who he played like last year? J.J. McCarthy in college. He did enough to keep them in front. He protected the football, but the flashiness was way down. I mean, when he first got there, he was winging the ball all over the place. And you're, oh my God, look at that arm. Now, sometimes it's going to get tipped and intercepted, but those throws were minimized last year. He only threw an interception 0.6% of the time. That's Jim Harbaugh football. That's what it is. It's what it's always been. We're going to run it, we're going to protect it, and we're going to keep you on the sidelines. My issue there is that he has the talent to be a top 5 quarterback. I just don't know that this system is going to enhance his abilities.
His touchdown prop this season, 21.5. He's gone over 23 4 times this year. With Najee Harris being already banged up with the 4th of July incident to the eye and not knowing when he's coming back, that leaves Amari and Hampton, your rookie running back, RB1 to start the year. Do we think I know this is a team that wants to run the ball more that's Jim Harbaugh, but are they going to be able to do that? Like, is there some value in going over 21.5 passing touchdowns, minus 108, just because early on he's probably going to have to throw a couple more than he otherwise would with the running game lacking? Like, you don't really have a backup or a serviceable backup right now to Hampton.
We'll see. I'm not in a rush to bet anything over on Herbert passing stats. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't go over the win total, which we should address, 9.5. They're minus 130 at BetMGM to make the playoffs. To win the division, you gave the price already. There's a nice range there from 3-1 to 350. And then the bigger stuff, they're like 12, 13-1 to win the conference. And they're as high as 30-1 to win the Super Bowl. I'm going to take it easy on the Herbert stat props. Again, I think he could win. I just don't know that they're going to win because he's out there throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's just not what it's been historically under Harbaugh. But that Hampton market, Kay, has that been smashed? So on this show, we talked about it after the draft. And I told Joe we need to bet this at 16-1, offensive rookie. MGM is down to 7-1. Now, there's a couple reasons for that. One, people watch Bet Sweats. 2, Najee Harris was supposed to be RB1, and every preseason preview on the Chargers was basically asking the question, when does Hampton become the lead guy? Of course, these previews came out in April and May and June, so this is pre-firework, catastrophe. He's going to be their number 1 guy. So there's been a combination of hype on top of fireworks, I guess. So Hampton's
literal fireworks.
The best price you can get now on Hampton is 10-1. Then there's a 9, a 9 and 8, a 750, and MGM is all the way down to 7-1. I take a little responsibility for that. But he's going to be their bell cow. And I think they had this full plan where we're going to make Najee Harris the 1. We're going to see what we have with Hampton. And then if we have to make a change in terms of snaps and touches, we will. Najee Harris is owed nothing by the Chargers. Now, they were kind of giving him a deal to see what he could do, and he decided that other things were more important than sports. So this is his backfield now. And while the injury to Slater does make them worse, no doubt, they can still run the football because they brought in Becton from Philly. They like Zion Johnson, their left guard. this is still a run first team. They're going to run and run and run some more. And if Hampton can break the big ones like he did in college, he's going to have a chance to be just as good as Asher Genty in year number 1.
Yeah, the interior of their offensive line last year struggled at times, but I think Becton bringing him in will help. The schedule, Sam, for me, fairly doable early on in the season. I mean, I know that first game against Kansas City and Brazil, that's obviously a tough one because you're playing the Chiefs. It's just kind of later in the year that I think things get dicey down the stretch. Like week 14, you have Philly, Kansas City, Dallas, Houston, who just smoked you in the wild card game last year, and then you end at Denver. So this could be a top heavy schedule in terms of like wins early, and it kind of tapers off later. So I don't know if there are opportunities to like bet in season the win total under or them to miss the playoffs at some point, but it kind of alternates. Like they have a Kansas City, then a little bit easier of a game. I mean, I know it's still a division game. First 3 games actually of the season are all division games: Kansas City, Las Vegas, and Denver. But you have like Denver, you then go to the Giants, you play the Commanders, you go to Miami, a little bit easier one. So it kind of goes back and forth. I think the early part is more doable than the latter part. I mean, getting to 10 wins, I don't know if I can get there, Sam. I'm not going to bet it because I think the number's pretty right, but I would lean towards the under on this Chargers team this year.
I really wanted to be a Chargers guy, and then Slater went down, and McConkey was in a wrap and a boot, and then Najee has been non-existent. So I'm not looking to fade necessarily. I'll tell you what's happening though. Week number 1, this Chiefs side has been bet quite a bit. So that's the Friday game in Brazil, week number 1. And we saw sharp money come in and knock this thing down. Kansas City at one point in the summer was -1.5, -2. So there was some support off the 3 for the Bolts. Well, you look at the market now, MGM is 2.5. There's a whole bunch of 3, and I see a 3.5 at circa. So in the last 2 weeks or so, we have seen this money come in on the Chiefs week number 1 on a neutral in Brazil. I would love to take 3. I haven't done it yet. I guess I don't really know why. Maybe because I'm still recovering from a week in Vegas. But if you get me to Friday, September 5th, or maybe just the week of that game, and you're going to give me a 3, God forbid a 3.5, I would take 3.5 week 1. Even though I'm sort of hesitant on the big picture stuff and hesitant on any Herbert numbers or stats or awards. Like I'm not betting Justin Herbert MVP at 25-1. No. Not happening. But could they cover or beat the Chiefs week 1? Absolutely. Because weird things happen in Brazil, Kate. That's what I've been told.